Are you dealing with an avoidant or are you dealing with a narcissist? This is a question that can be very confusing because the behaviors can overlap in many different ways. But first, it's important to understand attachment, such as avoidant attachment, is a learned behavior. It's a learned behavior that generally goes back to childhood. This is a person that was emotionally neglected by their parents or caretakers, and they learned that emotional intimacy isn't safe. It leads to rejection, it leads to abandonment. And they can deploy deactivation strategies. These are ways for them to keep their partner at an emotional arm's length. That's how the avoidant learned to keep themselves safe by not getting too vulnerable with anybody. It's all driven by fear. Narcissism, however, it is a personality disorder. It's not just a learned behavior. And while a learned behavior like avoidant attachment can be unlearned and replaced with something else, narcissistic personality disorder will always be there. At best, the person can learn to become self-aware and manage and regulate themselves. However, that is extremely, extremely rare. Narcissists, they seek narcissistic supply. That's what they do in every relationship. That's why they go into a relationship. Narcissistic supply is the attention, adoration, validation, and power and control that a narcissist feels entitled to. They need that supply. They look for it everywhere in their lives because there's such an empty pit inside of them that they're constantly trying to fill that void with attention, with adoration, and the feeling of being in power, being in control. It gives them supply. Now, an avoidant, they can do behaviors that are very hurtful, such as cheating, gaslighting, stonewalling, ghosting. But these behaviors are largely driven by fear. This is a person that has a very specific set of fears, and those fears are abandonment, rejection, and engulfment. Engulfment is the fear of losing their independence in a relationship. So when they do these hurtful behaviors, they're actually seeking to create emotional distance between themselves and their partner. That's how they kept themselves safe as a child, and that's how they're trying to keep themselves safe as an adult in a maladaptive way. When a narcissist does these behaviors, they are just trying to maintain that control over the relationship, maintain their position of power, and get narcissistic supply. To get that attention, to get that adoration, to get that supply that they so desperately feel that they need and they're entitled to. A narcissist can also intend to hurt their partner because when they see their partner in pain, it means that they have power over them. It means that they have control, that they are relevant, that they can affect this person. Whereas the avoidant, they're not seeking to hurt the other person. Well, they may not be trying to not hurt the other person either. They're just not considering the feelings of the other person because the avoidant is so insecure. They are wrapped up in their own selves and what they perceive that they want and need in the moment. And other people's feelings are just not a consideration. A narcissist, however, can do things with the intention of hurting because it gives them supply. And typically with a narcissist, behaviors such as cheating, gaslighting, it is so much more intense and so much more over the top than it is with an avoidant. A narcissist is far more likely to say and do things that are very blatantly, intentionally hurtful. And after a relationship with a narcissist ends, this person is very likely to go on a smear campaign, which means they're going to go to everybody that they can think of and bash their ex and paint themselves as the victim so they can get attention, they can get sympathy supply, get attention for being the victim of their ex. An avoidant is far less likely to do this. When children are involved, a narcissistic parent is much more likely to try to poison the kids against the other parent, whereas an avoidant is much less likely to do this. Narcissists always have to be in the position of power. And narcissists, they feel entitled to get what they want. They do not like the word no. And if they do something bad, it's always somebody else's fault. If they cheated on you, it's your fault. You didn't give them what they needed. Now, an avoidant can also try to blame their behaviors on a third party or external things so they don't have to take accountability. but it's usually much less extreme, and an avoidant is more likely to say, I'm sorry. Whereas a narcissist, if they say they're sorry, it's only for the intention of manipulating you. Both narcissists and avoidants can love bomb, but that's also for very vastly different intentions. An avoidant has all these bottled up emotions that they've suppressed throughout their lives, and early in the relationship, their fears haven't been triggered yet. So they're letting these bottled up emotions flow out onto their partner. But the thing is, the avoidant genuinely means it in the moment. They really think they mean all these things that they're saying. They're just unable to follow through due to their fears. A narcissist love bombs as a way to get their hooks into you. It is intentional, it's a manipulation. The narcissist wants supply from you, but they know they can't get it for free. So they give you the love bombing, so you give them the attention, you give them the adoration. It's essentially a transaction. And the narcissist, they will say and do anything that they feel is necessary to get what they want from a person. It is essentially intentional manipulation. At the end of the day, if your partner is treating you in a way that you don't deserve, if you're being cheated on, you're being gaslit, you're being lied to, you're being stonewalled, this person's just disappearing, giving you the silent treatment, the intention really doesn't matter that much because you're being treated in a way that hurts you. That's why having boundaries, which are your limits of what you will and will not tolerate, are so important. Because at the end of the day, if you're being mistreated, you're being mistreated. It doesn't really matter why this person is doing it. So the label, it doesn't really matter that much when you're being treated in a toxic way. Recognize your worth, know your limits, and set those boundaries. Because a selfish person, a person that is not invested in the relationship the way that you are, a person that does not care about your emotional well-being or your feelings in general, is not going to respect your boundaries, and that relationship will come to its natural conclusion. Because selfish partners love their own boundaries, they just don't love yours. But a person that is genuinely emotionally invested and does care about your well-being will respect your boundaries. If they make a mistake, they'll take accountability and work to do better. That's why your boundaries are your sword and shield. They will protect you from being in a prolonged relationship with a person that isn't healthy, that is selfish, that would mistreat you. So, while there are differences between narcissists and avoidants, especially when it comes to intent, if you're being mistreated, that's ultimately what matters, because you're not in a relationship with somebody's intent. You're in a relationship with their behaviors and how they treat you. So recognize that, because their potential, their intent, it doesn't really make much of a difference when you're being mistreated now, does it?